Welcome back to the podcast and today's episode. Today, I welcome Claire to the show. So, welcome to the show today, Claire.
Hello.
Glad to have you here. So, just a quick introduction to Claire, and then we're going to dive straight into our conversation. So, Claire is the founder of Quest to Wholeness, where they are dedicated to creating safer environments in a tech driven world. They collaborate with tech companies, support organizations, and empower individuals to manage EMF exposure through education, practical solutions, and Psych K. So, Claire, welcome to the show. Glad to have you on, like I said. So,
Glad to be here.
so you mentioned your, kind of my understanding of what you're doing and who you are is kind of there's this big drive for wellness and helping companies and
Mhm.
going and talking to them about that. Yeah, it'd be really interesting to hear where that started for you, what your story is and your drive is behind this all this work you're doing with companies and their wellness and tech.
I will tell you the story. So this started many, 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 many years ago, but I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version. I would go to naturopath after naturopath, and this is going back probably 15, 20 years ago, and
Mm.
no naturopath knew what was wrong with me. I would go from one to the other. And then my doctor sent me to Women's College Hospital, and little did I know, the doctor I spoke to, Dr. Rena Bray, is an expert in the field. And within 5 minutes, she diagnosed me with electromagnetic hypersensitivity.
Mm.
And at that point, it wasn't that bad. But what I also didn't know at that time is that I had been exposed to mold, that I had heavy metals in my body, and I was on a medication needlessly that actually affected my nervous system. And at that point, the way I describe it is imagine a glass.
Mm.
And you have the heavy metals, you have the drug, you have the mold, and the glass is filled to the top. I had no capacity to be able to tolerate any other toxins. An EMF is a toxin, and I
Wow.
couldn't tolerate it. And then it became worse. It got so bad that I was literally living in the dark for 6 months. Every single breaker in our house was off. I lived with one burner and one flashlight. And what changed is 6 months later, we brought in an EMF electrician who literally changed my life. He he helped me survive. And he remediated the house. And at that point, I started to be able to, to live a little bit. At the time, I was so um, grief-stricken that I started writing a journal. The journal turned into a book, and the book turned into a bestseller.
Mm.
And I started doing interviews, going to book signings, and I realized that as I was going through this, my practitioner said, there's a reason for this. There's a reason why this is happening. And all I could say to them is, I don't want the reason. I just want to heal. I don't care about the reason. I just want to know why it happened to me and what I need to do to heal. And I realized at the time I was asking the wrong question. The right question is, what was I meant to learn? And what I was meant to learn was this was so this happened to me so that I can help other people who are struggling through this. And so there's a couple of things I'm doing. One is I help people through Psych K, and this is one-on-one, um, transform their limiting beliefs. So somebody who has EHS probably is feeling, I'm never going to get over this. I can't get my life back. How am I going to live like this? And Psych-K transformed those limiting beliefs so that people can start having their lives back. And are you familiar with Psych-K at all?
I'm not so much, no. I've
Okay.
heard the term, but yeah, it'd be interesting to hear about it.
Okay, let me tell you a little bit about it. Guy named Rob Williams developed this. He was a therapist. He was going through marriage issues, and he had clients that just weren't transforming very quickly and permanently. And so he developed Psych-K, which is psychological kinesiology, and he started noticing changes with his clients. And he also was able to heal his marriage. And this Psyche has been in existence for over 30 years. So the idea behind it is, and I'm going to give you a concrete example. So, do you work out?
Yeah, a
Okay,
lot.
all the time?
Most days, I love it.
Oh, perfect.
One of
So
those
just
weirdos likes working out.
so just imagine you decide today, you haven't worked out before, you decide today that today is going to be the day you're going to start working out. You get up, you put on your new gym stuff, and you head down to the kitchen. On the kitchen table is a chocolate donut. Not one. There are about three chocolate donuts there and a frappuccino. And you look at that and you go, man, does that look good? And you go for it. And the couch is right behind you, and you go lay on the couch. Okay, your conscious decision was to go work out, but your subconscious mind, which drives your behavior, wasn't aligned with your conscious mind. Fast forward next day, you get up, you put on those cool shorts, you go downstairs, the chocolate donuts are still there. By the way, a lot of icing. And you look at it, you turn around, you go to the blender, and you make a healthy shake, and you go to the gym. So somebody who has EHS on a conscious level might say to me, I want to heal. But if their subconscious is not aligned with their wants, they're not going to heal. That's what Psyche does. What Psyche does is it
Mm.
um, helps us, we transform those limiting beliefs on a subconscious level, and it's quick and it's permanent. So when I was going through all of this, I've been a Psyche facilitator since 2007. And I thought, you know what? I have the tool. I'm not using it for my health. And I started using it every day for 6 months. 6 months seems to be a magic number for me. I started using it every day for 6 months. And I started noticing changes, things that I wouldn't do. I wouldn't go into restaurants. I wouldn't go into people's homes. I wouldn't get my nails done. I wouldn't do shopping was scary for me because everybody walks around with their cell phones and their iWatches and their earbuds. And I started doing those things which I wasn't comfortable doing before because my belief was my world is not safe. And it feels that way. It's not safe.
Mm.
And as I started doing these psyche processes, my world changed. My world opened up. So that's really what psyche does. So that's the first thing I do. Please interrupt me at any time.
No, I'm just
Uh,
fascinated with psyche and in impacting the subconscious because I know a strategy used by many people is, and I've definitely been guilty of it many times, is like this willpower, like I won't eat the donut, I won't eat the donut. Your example, I will go to the gym, I will go to the gym.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna
It's
do
gonna
it.
work, and then the tip of the the cliche example of New Year, and then it's like it's not lasting. So it sounds like something like Psyche um, is can be really beneficial, maybe on overriding some of those behaviors.
So what you just described is at a conscious level. The
Mm,
intentions, when people talk about intentions, it's at a conscious level.
mm,
Okay. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to lose 15 pounds. I'm going to be present. But if your subconscious is not aligned with your want, these things aren't going to happen. And so we all have limiting beliefs, whether we have electromagnetic hypersensitivity or anybody walking on this earth has limiting beliefs.
mm,
And they can be changed very easily and simply by using the Psyche process. And the reason why Psyche is so important for um, electromagnetic hypersensitivity is because, and I want to be careful excuse me, when I say this, mindset is one piece of the puzzle. It's not the entire piece. For
I
me,
agree.
the most important was remediating my home. So I had a safe place to heal. But the other piece that was really important is the mindset. I was driving in a car with somebody who has MS, and she said to me, I'm so glad I'm not in a wheelchair because we saw this guy in a wheelchair. And she said, what are you grateful for? I said, nothing. How could I be grateful for this, EHS taking away my life? What am I supposed to be grateful for? And every single day, we got on the phone and we started talking about what we were grateful for. And I wasn't grateful for anything. She had to prod and pry it out of me. And then I started creating a gratitude bowl where I couldn't say what I was grateful for my life, but I was able to say to my husband, thank you for doing this for me. I'm grateful for it. And I started realizing that I'm grateful for a lot more things than I thought I was. And then one day, three people who had EHS and who were all healed said that the biggest change for them was mindset. And my mindset changed completely from I'm not grateful to this is where I'm supposed to be. There's a reason for everything that happens. And my EHS is to not just awaken me, not just to work with individuals, but now what we're doing is we're going into tech companies. And there are tech companies who are interested in this. There are three tech companies that are interested in pursuing this to create safe technology and to create awareness for their consumers and employees. So my mission really is to heal lives and build a tech safe tomorrow.
Mm.
So it's not just about working with one-on-one people. It's about really making the change that needs to happen. When I do book signings, I see teenagers who are so ill, and I give them my book and I ask them to look at the symptom list, and they pale because they have most of these. I've seen people with scars here where they've had cancer. That's where they kept their form. The third thing we're doing is we work with corporations because some people who have EHS are still able to work. Not everybody can. And they may not even know what's wrong with them. But EHS is um, a recognized disability, and people have a right to be accommodated, whether it's in a doctor's office, whether it's at work. So we work with individuals, tech companies, and corporations to make a change, to make a change. So this is, if I hadn't gotten this, I never would have started this. It
Mm.
wouldn't have even been a thought in my mind. And so it's not, oh my God, why did I get it? It's what am I meant to do? What am I meant to learn? How am I meant to be? How am I meant to step into this world and be more than I was before and help people through this because it's one of the hardest things you could ever go through.
Mm. Mm. Very powerful message you're getting out there from your experience. And yeah, it sounds like you're impacting a lot of people's lives. And when you touched on the mindset piece, like I also think, yeah, obviously the self-esteem concept mindset. I think mindset's important. I'm also with you. I don't think it's the full piece. Like there's lots of
Mhm.
other factors you got to look after. You
Right.
can have a good attitude and then a good intention, and I'm going to make an effort towards this. But there's many other factors that you've shared there. It is important, of course. I personally believe, but it's not the be all and end all. Then some of the things like Psy-K sound like they're really going a bit deeper into a human psychology.
They absolutely are. It's psychological kinesiology,
Mm.
and it's a mixture of um, ancient wisdom, Western thought, and this man was, a psychologist.
Mm.
And he started, when he developed this, he started seeing immediate changes.
Mm.
It's not a process that takes a long time, and it's not talk therapy.
Yeah.
It's not talk therapy. We don't need to get into any stories. Stories are not important.
Mm.
What's important is what don't you want in your life?
Mm.
Okay, great. You know you don't want that. What do you want in your life? Okay, I want to heal. Great, I want to heal. But when you say the word want, that's in the future.
Mm.
And so what we need to transition to is I am healed. And then we work with that statement, that goal, and we help through all different sorts of processes make that part of your subconscious
Mm.
or integrate it into your subconscious.
I love that. Claire, I want to touch a bit more on EMF exposure and just build a bit more
Hmm.
awareness around that. For you went through going through EHS that you've worked through, and now yeah, you can help others and that area, many many more aspects of life, of course, not just EHS that you're
Mm-mm.
doing in tech companies. What is like EMF exposure for someone who's not really aware? Because we live in a world of technology, right? What are some of the challenges or consequences when it's not going right for us?
Mm. Okay, so what somebody might experience, so that's a day in your life. Okay. Somebody might have ringing in their ears. They might feel anxiety. They might feel depressed. They might have gut issues. They might have insomnia. They might have mood changes. And that's only a short list. There are many other symptoms. They can, headaches, brain fog. And so the first thing I would recommend anybody to do is if they suspect they have it, go into their home, turn off all the breakers, make sure their phones and iWatches are in the car, so away from the house, and then go in and see how the house feels. And what you want it to feel is quiet. You're not feeling the buzzing, you're not hearing the buzzing. EMF, EMF constitutes many things. It constitutes electrical, magnetic, and RF, and dirty electricity. And so everywhere we go, think about your day and the things you do. You go to a gym. Somebody with EHS can't because there's Wi-Fi, there's routers, there's everybody has their earbuds in, their phone,
Mm.
iPads, the whole gamut. And I've seen people with iPads at the gym, which is bizarre, but people take iPads to the gym as
I'm with
well.
you. I'm with you.
It's kind of bizarre. And and so a normal thing, going shopping, food shopping. Just imagine this.
Mm,
You're in line, okay, to pay for your food. There's somebody standing behind you with their cell phone and iWatch. There's somebody standing in front of you with their cell phone and iWatch, and you're feeling sick, and there's
mm,
nothing you can do about it. You go into a bathroom, and the person in the next stall is talking on their phone.
mm.
Okay, immediately, do you run out? What do you do? Going into a friend's house, they have a party. Unless they turn off their router, turn off their phones and their modem, how can you go? I haven't seen my family in 4 years. They live in Toronto. I'm in Arizona. I can't take a plane. I'm getting to the point where I will be able to probably in the next 2 months or so. I'm about 85% healed.
Mm.
Um, and the things that we take for granted, many people can't work. Many people end up with cancer. There's statistics that say that young kids, there's more of an increase in brain tumors in kids. They're on their phones, they're on their iPads. And their parents, I was in a store not that long ago, and a child was in one of those push carts, and their mother handed the 1.5-year-old child their phone. The child put it next to their ear. That's radiation.
Mm.
On every single phone, there is a warning by every single tech company not to put your phone near your body because it emits radiation. They know that this is dangerous. They say keep it 5, 8, 12, it depends on the company, millimeters away. Health Organization says 8 to 10 inches away from your body. And yet people are walking around with every piece of technology. They're putting earbuds in their ear. What do you think is happening when you do that? You're emitting radiation into your brain. When you put it in your breast pocket, increase in breast cancer. There are absolute dangers. There's news reports that say social media is causing increase of suicides. What do kids get on? How do they get onto the social media with their phones, their iPads? I don't believe it's just social media. I believe it's the technology. This is a crisis. 5G is not where it's going to stop. Some cities are already putting in 6G, and there's some countries that are considering putting in 10G. And people are getting sicker and sicker, and the medical community has no idea how to help somebody with EHS. There's a handful of people who do. And if you continue using the technology and you're already sick, you're not going to get better. You have to do something about it. You have to create a safe haven in your home. You have to reduce exposure. And there's many ways to reduce exposure. Don't put your cell phones in your bedroom. Turn it on airplane mode and off. And the reason why that's important is because if you just turn it off, it's still looking for signals. You don't use your router and modem at night. Turn it off. Turn your breaker off in your bedroom so your body has a chance to heal. Bring an electrician and put a kill switch in your bedroom, which means it turns off the electricity for your bedroom. Don't have a TV in your bedroom. There are many things that you can do to lessen, to lessen the load. If you go from a house that has an enormous amount of radiation and you don't allow your body to heal, and then you go out into the world, you're exposed to 5, 6, or 10G, you're not going to get any better with your earbuds in your ear and your phone in your pocket. It's just not going to happen.
Hmm.
One of my colleagues who's brilliant, when I was first diagnosed, my doctor said, go to her, she knows everything. And I still go to her because she does know everything. And she says that some people heal very quickly. Some people heal in a couple of months. Some people heal in a couple of years. And some people have a very hard time healing. And she believes, and so do I at this point, that you've got to get your nervous system to calm down. You have to work on your vagus nerve and your limbic system. Um, and to really calm down your nervous system. I know that I'm usually wired for sound, and I've got to constantly work on calming down my nervous system.
Hmm.
And so there are so many facets to this, and it's so important. And if you have the symptoms we talked about, start reducing your load. You can keep your phone in your purse, but turn it on airplane mode and off when you're not using it. There are earbuds that you can get that are safer. Okay, go online and look for EMF safe earbuds, and you'll find them online. Put a case around your phone. Put it in a Faraday box when you're not using it in your house. There are many things that you can do to help help your body heal. And even if you're not sick, there's this 30% of the population have it. You don't want to be one of the 30%.
Wow.
Yeah.
The impacts, and like you say, I wouldn't, I would take, life for granted, like being on airplanes many times and just going to the shop. But like 20 years ago, I remember like being a kid, like, well, a fair few more years than that. Like, I'm 34, but like when I was, maybe 30 years, somewhere between 25 and 30 years ago when I was a kid. And I was in the supermarkets, and you're with like your mum and everyone around. There's no like, it was like the old fashioned, tills they had then, and didn't have phones around. And now, like, where we've been in the last 15, 20 years, it's kind of, it's everywhere, right? So that's kind of really something I wouldn't have thought about. So there's technology everywhere. So yeah, Claire, you talked about like moving like technology away from your environment and it or reducing it and some of the measures you said, like getting the earphones
Mhm.
online, or like putting airplay, not just turning it off but putting airplane mode on,
Mhm.
because the signals are still coming in, which I didn't
Right.
think of either. That's very very key bit of awareness. Is there, you talked about like calming your nervous system down. I know a lot of us are like got this like fight or flight and a lot of the time in this stress response. Is there anything you found useful to work on calming your nervous system down for you?
I'm going to give this company a plug. When I spoke to the person who knows everything, she gave me this plug, and now I will give it back. It's called Primal Trust. This
Okay.
is a person who was also very ill, and and she developed this program, and I did the program, and it has changed my life. I think Primal Trust is a fabulous way to do it. It's affordable. It's $96 a month, and she's I'm a trainer by as a trainer and speaker by trade, and I've designed many courses for many organizations. And the way she's designed it is brilliant. I think it's absolutely top notch. She does explain the science and she goes deep into the science, but then she gives you very practical tools. It's also very reasonably done because she doesn't demand a lot of your time. You have to commit to it,
Mm,
but it's not overwhelming. It's very, very doable. And if you do these things and you integrate them as part of your life, you can start reducing your nervous system deregulation.
mm,
And she is unequivocally the expert in that. I am not. I'm an expert in psyche and uh, a number of other things. I'm a speaker by trade. I've been keynoting for years. Um, and I'm an intuitive. So she is the person to speak to about nervous system regulation.
ah, cool. Ah, sounds really good. Primal trust, and is it's do they bring in parts of electronics as well and technology into it, or is it
She
mainly?
does.
Yeah.
She does. She
Okay.
does talk about it.
Cool. Okay. I
Yeah, she
wonder if
does
they
talk
got like
about it.
any breath work and things like that in there. It sounds
She does.
really, yeah.
She has
Big
somatic,
fan.
she has breath work. She has vagus nerve training, she has limbic system. So yeah, it's pretty comprehensive.
Cool. Yeah, as a breathwork facilitator, I'm always fascinated by people bringing that into their practice. No, primal
Mm.
trust. That's like a great one. Yeah, Claire, I know you, as we kind of wrap things up, I know you offer a lot out there to organizations. You do Side K, and you're really trying to get your message out there. Just before we go, it'd be really interesting to hear where the listener can find you if they want to reach out, find out more about your work and what you're doing in terms of offering out there. And also, is there anything you'd like to leave us with in terms of maybe a final message or just recapping something we've talked about today?
The message I would that I feel is very important is that everybody has the capacity to heal.
Mm,
And somebody I was interviewed by a number of months ago said to me he also had EHS, and he said it's not for the faint of heart, and it's not. It's the hardest journey you will ever be on, but you can heal, and I truly, truly believe you can. So to reach me, my website is www.questtoWholeness.com. At the bottom of the homepage, there's an opportunity for you to join our newsletter. And every month you'll receive tips and strategies that'll help you manage EHS. And within about a week, we have a white paper that's going to be going up on our website as well. So look out for that. It should be about a week, probably no more. And you can download that, and it'll give you more research on EHS and the risks and a little bit more about what we're doing. So that is my message, and that's how I can be reached.
awesome. No, I appreciate you, Claire, coming on and spreading more awareness to us today. And certainly me, I've been taking lots of notes. So thank you for coming on and everything you're doing. We'll be sure to link the resources up in the podcast notes today.
Thank you so very much for your time. And thank you, audience. Just stay healthy.
Awesome. Absolutely. So that concludes our episode for today. And remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.